The words hung in the air like poison. Naomi Bennett sat frozen across from her husband at the candlelit table, her fork halfway to her mouth. The expensive steak on her plate suddenly looked like rubber. Around them, other couples laughed and clinked glasses, completely unaware that her world had just shattered into a million pieces. "What did you just say?" Her voice came out as a whisper. Gregory didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. He stared at his wine glass, swirling the red liquid like it was the most interesting thing in the room. "You heard me, Naomi. I said I wish you weren't my wife." 5 years. They were supposed to be celebrating 5 years of marriage at this upscale restaurant downtown. She had worn the emerald green dress he once said brought out the warmth in her brown skin. She had made reservations 3 weeks in advance. She had actually believed they were going to have a nice evening together. Is this some kind of joke? Naomi set down her fork carefully, trying to keep her hands from shaking. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. No joke. Gregory finally looked at her, and his eyes were cold. "I'm tired, Naomi. Tired of pretending everything is fine when it's not. Tired of coming home to you. Just tired." The couple at the next table glanced over, and Naomi realized her breathing had gotten too loud. She pressed her napkin to her lap, crumpling the soft fabric in her fists. "Where is this coming from? We were fine this morning. We were fine yesterday. What changed?" Gregory's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at it quickly and turned it face down, but not before Naomi saw the name on the screen. Simone. The phone buzzed again immediately. Then again. Who is Simone? The question came out sharp. Nobody. Just someone from work. But his face flushed and he grabbed his phone, shoving it in his pocket. "Look, can we not do this here?" "Do what here? Have a conversation? On our anniversary?" Naomi felt heat rising in her chest, spreading up her neck. "You just told me you wish I wasn't your wife. I think I deserve an explanation." "You want an explanation?" Gregory leaned back in his chair, his jaw tight. "Fine. You're boring, Naomi. Everything about our life is boring. Same routine every single day. Same conversations. Same everything. I feel like I'm suffocating." Each word was a slap. Naomi's eyes burned, but she refused to cry in this restaurant full of happy people celebrating happy occasions. She had been boring? She had given up her freelance graphic design work to support his career. She had moved across the state when he got his promotion. She had put her dreams on hold because he said they needed financial stability first. "I need to use the restroom." Gregory stood abruptly, nearly knocking over his chair. "Your phone." Naomi's voice was ice. "What?" "Leave your phone. Please." She didn't know why she said it. Maybe some part of her already knew. Maybe some part of her had known for a while but had been too afraid to look. Gregory hesitated, his hand in his pocket. For a long moment they stared at each other. Then he pulled out his phone and tossed it on the table. "Fine. Whatever." Naomi watched him walk away toward the back of the restaurant. Her hands trembled as she picked up his phone. No password. He had removed the password 3 months ago, claiming he wanted to be more transparent. She had thought it was sweet at the time. The messages with Simone filled the screen. Hundreds of them. Photos. Heart emojis. Plans to meet up. And then she saw the date on one message, 6 months ago. This had been going on for 6 months. "I love you too. Can't wait until I don't have to hide anymore." That was from Gregory. Sent 2 weeks ago. Naomi set the phone down carefully. She stood, grabbed her purse and walked out of the restaurant. She didn't look back. She didn't wait for Gregory to return from the restroom. She just left, stepping out into the cool evening air, finally letting the tears fall as she called her sister. "Rochelle, can you pick me up? I need somewhere to stay tonight." Sunlight streamed through the unfamiliar curtains, and for a brief moment, Naomi forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The anniversary dinner. Gregory's words. The text messages. She was in Rochelle's guest bedroom, still wearing the emerald dress from last night, now wrinkled and twisted around her body. Her phone sat on the nightstand, the screen lit up with notifications. 23 missed calls from Gregory. 15 text messages. She didn't need to read them to know what they said. The first one she had glanced at around midnight said it all. "Where did you go? We need to talk about this like adults." Like adults. As if she was the one acting like a child. As if she was the one who had betrayed their marriage. A soft knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. "Naomi? You awake?" Rochelle's voice was gentle. "Yeah. Come in." Her sister entered carrying a mug of coffee and a plate of toast. Rochelle was 2 years older, with the same rich brown skin and dark eyes, But where Naomi usually kept her hair in neat twists, Rochelle wore hers in a short natural cut that suited her no-nonsense personality. "You look terrible," Rochelle said, setting the coffee on the nightstand. "Thanks." Naomi sat up, accepting the coffee gratefully. The warmth of the mug felt good in her hands. "I mean it though. Did you sleep at all?" Rochelle sat on the edge of the bed, her face creased with concern. "Maybe an hour." Naomi took a sip of coffee. It was perfect with just the right amount of cream and sugar. Rochelle always remembered the little things. "I kept looking through Gregory's phone. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't stop." "What did you find?" "Everything." Naomi's voice cracked. "Pictures of them together. Messages planning dates while I was at home thinking we were fine. He even told her he loved her. Multiple times." Rochelle's jaw tightened. "That piece of trash. There's more." Naomi pulled Gregory's phone from under her pillow. She had taken it with her when she left the restaurant, some instinct telling her she would need evidence. "Look at this." She showed Rochelle a series of messages from 3 months ago. Gregory had sent Simone photos of jewelry, asking which piece she liked best. The same jewelry Naomi had assumed he bought with his Christmas bonus. The same bonus she thought they were saving for a down payment on a house. "He spent your savings on her?" Rochelle's voice rose. "Our savings? But yeah." Naomi felt numb saying it out loud. "I checked our bank account this morning. He's been transferring money out regularly. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones. I never noticed because he always handled the finances. He said he was better with numbers." "How much?" "Almost $8,000 over 6 months." Naomi set down the coffee, afraid she might throw it. "We were supposed to have 15,000 saved. Now we have barely 7. Rochelle stood and paced the small room, her hands clenched into fists. Okay, we can work with this. First thing you do is call a lawyer. Today. This morning. You have evidence of infidelity and financial misconduct. No judge will let him get away with this. I don't know any divorce lawyers." "I do. My friend from college, her brother is a divorce attorney. Mr. Patterson. He's good and he's fair. I'll call him right now and see if he can fit you in today." Naomi wanted to protest, to say it was too fast, that maybe they could work it out. But then she remembered Gregory's face last night. Cold and distant. He hadn't looked like a man who made a mistake. He looked like a man who had already checked out of their marriage long ago. "Okay," Naomi said quietly. "Call him." While Rochelle stepped out to make the call, Naomi forced herself to eat the toast. Her stomach churned, but she knew she needed energy for whatever came next. Gregory's phone buzzed in her hand. Another message, but this time from a different number. "Did you tell her yet? When can we stop hiding?" This was from Simone. Naomi stared at the message and something shifted inside her. The crushing sadness from last night began to transform into something else. Something harder and clearer. Anger. Not the hot, explosive kind that made people scream and throw things. This was cold and calculated. Gregory had humiliated her at their anniversary dinner, spent their money on another woman, and carried on an affair for half a year while Naomi played the devoted wife. He wanted her not to be his wife? Fine. She would grant that wish. But she would make sure he regretted every single choice that led to this moment. Rochelle came back in, phone in hand. "Mr. Patterson can see you at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm coming with you." "Thank you." Naomi stood and hugged her sister tight. "I need to go back to the house and get some of my things. Documents, clothes, whatever I can fit in a suitcase." "Is Gregory there?" "No. He texted that he's staying at a hotel until I calm down." Naomi's laugh was bitter. "Until I calm down. Like this is just me overreacting." "Perfect. Let's go now while he's gone. Pack what you need, grab all the financial records you can find, and get out." Rochelle grabbed her keys. "And Naomi? You're going to get through this. You're stronger than you know." Naomi nodded, but inside she wasn't sure about strength. What she felt was determination. She was going to dismantle the life Gregory thought he could just walk away from, piece by piece, until he understood exactly what he had lost. Mr. Patterson's office was nothing like Naomi expected. She had pictured dark wood paneling and intimidating law books, but instead the space was bright and modern with blue chairs and abstract art on the walls. The attorney himself was younger than she anticipated, maybe in his early 40s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Thank you for seeing me on such short notice," Naomi said as she and Rochelle settled into the chairs across from his desk. "Your situation warrants urgency." Mr. Patterson opened a leather folder and clicked his pen. "Rochelle gave me a brief overview on the phone, but I need to hear everything from you. Start from the beginning. Naomi took a breath and told him everything. The anniversary dinner. Gregory's cruel words. The messages on his phone. The missing money. As she spoke, Mr. Patterson took notes, his expression neutral but focused. When she finished, he set down his pen. Do you still have your husband's phone? Yes. Naomi pulled it from her purse. Is that legal? I took it when I left the restaurant. It's a gray area, but given that you're married and the phone was left in your presence, we can work with it. More importantly, you have concrete evidence of adultery and misappropriation of marital funds. That's very good for your case. He paused. Naomi, I need to ask you something and I want you to think carefully before answering. What do you want from this divorce? What do you mean? Some clients want revenge. Some want to hurt their spouse financially. Some just want it over with as quickly as possible. What matters most to you? Naomi considered the question. Last night, she had wanted Gregory to hurt the way she was hurting. This morning, she had wanted him to pay for what he did. But sitting here now, in this quiet office with Rochelle beside her and a path forward in front of her, she realized what she truly wanted. I want what's fair, she said slowly. I want half of everything we built together. I want compensation for the money he spent on her. And I want to move on with my life without him in it. Mr. Patterson nodded, a slight smile touching his lips. That's the best answer you could have given. Revenge is expensive and time-consuming. Fair is achievable. Now let's talk specifics. For the next hour they went through details. The house they rented together. Their joint bank account. Gregory's retirement fund from his job. The car payments. Mr. Patterson explained that because they lived in an equitable distribution state, the court would divide their assets fairly, though not necessarily equally. The evidence of Gregory's affair and financial misconduct would work in Naomi's favor. I'll file the divorce petition this week, Mr. Patterson said. Given the evidence, I'm confident we can push for a favorable settlement. In the meantime, I need you to do several things. First, open your own bank account today and have your paychecks deposited there. Second, gather every financial document you can find. Third, document everything. If Gregory contacts you, save the messages. If he shows up at your sister's house, write down what happens. What about the house? Naomi asked. My name is on the lease too. You have every right to go there and remove your personal belongings. I'd suggest doing it sooner rather than later, preferably when Gregory isn't home. Take photos of everything before you pack it, in case there's any dispute later about what belongs to whom. After the meeting, Naomi and Rochelle sat in the parking lot, both processing everything. The reality of divorce felt heavier now that she had spoken to a lawyer. This was really happening. You ready to go to the house? Rochelle asked. As ready as I'll ever be. They drove across town in silence. When they pulled up to the small two-bedroom house she had shared with Gregory for 3 years, Naomi felt her chest tighten. The lawn needed mowing. The blue shutters she had painted last spring looked cheerful and out of place. This was supposed to be their home. Their starting point before they bought something bigger, had kids, grew old together. All eyes. Let's make this quick, Naomi said, unlocking the front door. Inside, everything looked exactly as she had left it yesterday morning. Her coffee mug still sat in the sink. The throw blanket she always used was draped over the couch. Mail was stacked on the counter, unopened. She felt like a ghost walking through a life that no longer belonged to her. I'll get the bedroom, Rochelle said. You grab whatever paperwork you can find. Naomi went straight to the small office they used as a shared workspace. She pulled out the filing cabinet and began removing folders. Bank statements, insurance papers, mortgage documents, Gregory's pay stubs, her old freelance contracts from before she quit. She stuffed everything into a canvas bag. In the back of the bottom drawer, her hand touched something she didn't recognize. A small velvet box. Naomi pulled it out and opened it. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm in the shape of an S. As for Simone. Naomi stared at the bracelet, her vision blurring. This was in their home. Gregory had bought this and hidden it here, probably waiting for the right moment to give it to Simone. How many other secrets were tucked away in this house? How many times had he lied to her face while planning his future with someone else? She closed the box with a snap and threw it in the bag. Mr. Patterson said to document everything. This was evidence of ongoing deception. Naomi, come look at this, Rochelle called from the bedroom. Naomi found her sister standing in front of the open closet, holding a garment bag. Inside was a red dress, tag still attached. Size 6. Naomi was a size 10. He was keeping her clothes here? Rochelle's voice was incredulous. Apparently. Naomi felt that cold anger again, settling into her bones like ice. Add it to the evidence pile. They spent another 30 minutes packing. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, the few pieces of jewelry that actually belonged to Naomi, photos of her family. When they were done, she took one last look around the bedroom. The bed was unmade from yesterday morning when she had kissed Gregory goodbye, thinking it was just a normal Thursday. "I'm never coming back here," Naomi said quietly. "Good," Rochelle replied. "You deserve so much better than this place and that man." As they loaded the car, Naomi's phone rang. "Gregory." She declined the call, but moments later, a text appeared. "I know you took my phone. That's theft. Bring it back now or I'm calling the police." Naomi showed the message to Rochelle, who snorted. "Let him call. The police will laugh at him." Another text came through. "Simone means nothing. You're blowing this out of proportion. Come home so we can talk." Naomi blocked his number and climbed into the car. She didn't owe Gregory a conversation. She didn't owe him anything except divorce papers, and he would be getting those soon enough. 3 days after moving in with Rochelle, Naomi stood in the kitchen making tea when someone pounded on the front door. She knew immediately who it was. Gregory had a specific way of knocking, aggressive and impatient. "Don't answer it," Rochelle said, coming down the stairs in her pajamas. It was barely 7 in the morning. The pounding continued. "Naomi, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Right now." "I'm calling the police." Rochelle reached for her phone. "No, wait." Naomi set down her mug. "I'll talk to him. But you stay close, okay?" She opened the door but kept the chain lock engaged. Gregory stood on the porch and he looked terrible. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair uncombed, dark circles under his eyes. "Good. What do you want, Gregory?" "Let me in, please. We need to discuss this situation like adults." "There's nothing to discuss. You'll be receiving divorce papers soon." His face paled. "Divorce? Naomi, come on. Don't you think that's extreme? We had one fight. One bad night. One bad night." Naomi's voice rose despite her intention to stay calm. "You told me you wished I wasn't your wife. You've been having an affair for 6 months. You stole from our savings. That's not one bad night. That's 6 months of lies. I didn't steal anything. That money belongs to both of us. Money you spent on Simone. I saw the receipts, Gregory. The jewelry, the dinners, the hotel rooms. All of it." He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture she used to find endearing. Now it just looked pathetic. "Okay, yes, I made mistakes. I admit that. But divorce? Can't we go to counseling or something? Work through this. Work through this." Naomi laughed, a harsh sound. "You don't get to blow up our marriage and then act like counseling will fix it. You made your choice. You chose Simone. I didn't choose her. I choose you. I'm here, aren't I? I'm fighting for us. You're not fighting for us. You're fighting because you got caught." Naomi saw Rochelle hovering in the hallway behind her, phone in hand, ready to call for help if needed. "You didn't fight for us when you started texting her. You didn't fight for us when you took her on dates. You didn't fight for us at our anniversary dinner when you looked me in the eye and said you wished I wasn't your wife. I was angry that night. I said things I didn't mean." "No, Gregory. You said things you did mean but wished you hadn't said out loud." Naomi took a breath. "Is Simone done with you? Is that why you're here? Did she leave you when she found out you're broke now?" His silence was answer enough. His jaw clenched and his eyes wouldn't meet hers. "That's what I thought." Naomi felt a grim satisfaction. She didn't sign up to be with a man going through a messy divorce. She wanted the version of you that had money and could take her places. Now that's gone, so is she. That's not fair. Fair? Naomi's control snapped. "You want to talk about fair? I gave up my career for you. I moved away from my friends for you. I supported every single decision you made, and you repaid me by cheating and stealing and humiliating me in public. Don't you dare talk to me about fair." Gregory's face hardened. "You're making a huge mistake. If you go through with this divorce, you'll regret it." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact. You think you'll be fine on your own? You haven't worked in 3 years, Naomi. You have no income. You'll have nothing." "I'll have my self-respect," Naomi said quietly. "That's more than you'll ever have." Before Gregory could respond, Rochelle stepped forward holding a manila envelope. "These are for you. Divorce papers. You've been served." Mr. Patterson had dropped them off yesterday with instructions to give them to Gregory at the first opportunity. Naomi had planned to mail them, but this worked better. Gregory stared at the envelope like it might bite him. "Take them," Rochelle said firmly. Gregory snatched the envelope from her hand. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Naomi closed the door, engaging the deadbolt and the chain lock. Her hands were shaking, but she felt stronger than she had in days. Through the door she heard Gregory shout, "You'll come crawling back. You always do." But Naomi knew the truth. She would never crawl back to a man who treated her as disposable. She would never beg someone to love her the way she deserved. Whatever came next, she would face it alone and whole rather than with Gregory and broken. "You okay?" Rochelle put a hand on her shoulder. "Yeah," Naomi said, surprised to find it was true. "I really am." Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it, thinking it might be Gregory from a different phone, but the message made her blood run cold. "You ruined everything. He was going to leave you. This is all your fault. Simone." Somehow, Simone had gotten her number. Before Naomi could respond, another text came through. "You're pathetic. He never loved you. He told me you were boring and cold. You should have let him go quietly." Naomi blocked the number immediately. She wouldn't engage. She wouldn't give Simone the satisfaction of a response. If the woman wanted Gregory, she could have him after the divorce was final. But Naomi would make sure he came to her with empty pockets and a damaged reputation. "What is it?" Rochelle asked, seeing her expression. "Nothing important." Naomi deleted the messages. Just someone who doesn't matter trying to matter. The truth was, neither Gregory nor Simone mattered anymore. They had lost the power to hurt her the moment Naomi decided to choose herself. The divorce was just paperwork. The real freedom had already begun. 1 week after serving Gregory the divorce papers, Naomi sat in Mr. Patterson's office again, but this time she felt different. Less like a victim and more like someone taking control of her life. She had spent the past week digging through financial records, and what she found made her sick. "He's been transferring money to Simone's account directly," Naomi said, spreading bank statements across Mr. Patterson's desk. She had highlighted each suspicious transaction in yellow. "Look, here, here and here. Monthly payments of $500 starting 8 months ago." Mr. Patterson examined the statements carefully, his expression growing more serious. "This is beyond just spending marital funds inappropriately. This is systematic financial support of an extramarital relationship. Did you authorize any of these transfers?" "No. I didn't even know they were happening. Gregory always said he was handling our finances and I should focus on the household." Naomi heard the bitterness in her own voice. "I trusted him completely. That trust is exactly what we'll emphasize in court." Mr. Patterson made notes on his legal pad. "What else did you find?" Naomi pulled out another document. "Credit card statements. He opened a card in both our names without telling me. He maxed it out at $12,000. The charges are all from expensive restaurants, hotels and jewelry stores. All places I've never been." "He put you in debt to finance his affair?" "Yes." The word came out flat. Naomi had cried about this discovery for hours 2 nights ago. Now she just felt numb. "I also found receipts in his email. He was paying part of Simone's rent. $400 a month for the past 6 months. Mr. Patterson sat back in his chair, removing his glasses to clean them. "Naomi, this is actually excellent news for your case." "Excellent? How?" "Because it shows a pattern of financial misconduct and deliberate deception. Gregory didn't just have an affair. He systematically diverted marital assets to support his girlfriend while you believed you were building a future together. Any judge will see this as a serious breach of fiduciary duty." He put his glasses back on. "I'm going to push for you to receive compensation for all of these unauthorized expenditures, plus a larger share of any remaining marital assets." "What about his retirement fund?" "That's marital property too. You're entitled to half of whatever he contributed during your marriage." Mr. Patterson flipped through his notes. "How long have you been married?" 5 years. "Almost exactly. And how much is in his retirement account?" Naomi pulled out the statement she had found. $42,000. "That means you're entitled to approximately $21,000, possibly more if the court decides to compensate you for his misconduct." Mr. Patterson smiled slightly. "Between that, the debt he created, and the misappropriated funds, Gregory is going to face some serious financial consequences." For the first time since this nightmare began, Naomi felt a spark of satisfaction. Not joy exactly, but a sense that justice might actually be possible. What happens next? Gregory has 30 days to respond to the divorce petition. Based on the evidence, I expect he'll try to settle rather than go to trial. Most people do when the facts aren't in their favor. but we'll be prepared either way. After the meeting, Naomi drove back to Rochelle's house and found her sister in the living room with her laptop. How'd it go? Good. Really good, actually. Naomi sat down beside her. Mr. Patterson thinks we have a strong case. Gregory might even try to settle. Of course he will. He knows he messed up. Rochelle closed her laptop. So what are you going to do now? I don't mean about the divorce. I mean about you. Your life. What do you want? It was a question Naomi had been avoiding. For 3 years, her identity had been wrapped up in being Gregory's wife. Before that, she had been a freelance graphic designer, taking on projects for small businesses and startups. She had been good at it too. But Gregory had convinced her that freelancing was too unstable, that they needed her to get a regular job with benefits. So she had taken a position as an administrative assistant at a medical office. The work was fine, but it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't hers. I want to design again, Naomi said slowly. I miss being creative. I miss building something with my own hands and brain. I miss feeling proud of my work. Then do it. Rochelle opened her laptop again. Look, I've been researching. There are tons of small businesses looking for affordable branding help. You could start small, build up a portfolio again and see where it goes. I don't have the money to invest in software or equipment right now. You have a laptop. You have skills. That's enough to start. Rochelle pulled up a website. Look at this. It's a platform for freelancers. You create a profile, list your services, and clients come to you. No overhead costs except your time. Naomi looked at the screen. The idea was terrifying and exciting at the same time. What if she had lost her touch? What if no one wanted to hire her? But then again, what did she have to lose? She was already starting over in every other aspect of her life. Why not this too? Okay, Naomi said. I'll do it. I'll create a profile tonight. That's my sister. Rochelle squeezed her hand. Gregory tried to make you small. Now you get to show him exactly how wrong he was. That evening, Naomi sat at Rochelle's kitchen table with her old portfolio open on one screen and the freelancer platform on another. She hadn't looked at her design work in 3 years, and seeing it now made her sad. These logos, these websites, these brand identities represented a version of herself she had almost forgotten existed. A version that was confident and creative and didn't apologize for taking up space. She uploaded her best pieces and wrote a profile description, keeping it simple and honest. Graphic designer specializing in branding for small businesses. I believe every company has a story, and I help them tell it visually. Before she could second-guess herself, she hit publish. The next morning, she woke to find 3 messages from potential clients. One needed a logo for a new bakery. Another wanted help redesigning their website. The third was looking for social media graphics for a boutique clothing store. Naomi stared at the messages, her heart racing. This was real. People wanted to work with her. She responded to all 3, setting up calls to discuss their needs and her rates. By the end of the day, she had signed contracts for 2 projects. The money wouldn't be much at first, but it was hers. Earned by her skills and her effort. Not dependent on Gregory or anyone else. When Rochelle came home from work, Naomi was sketching logo concepts at the kitchen table, completely absorbed in her work. She didn't even hear her sister come in until Rochelle spoke. Look at you. You're glowing. Naomi looked up, surprised to find herself smiling. I got 2 clients today. Real paying projects. That's amazing. Rochelle hugged her tight. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of me too, Naomi said and meant it. For the first time in a long time she felt like herself again. Not Gregory's wife. Not a woman whose husband cheated on her. Just Naomi doing work she loved and building a future on her own terms. Her phone buzzed with a new email. Mr. Patterson's office. She opened it and her breath caught. Gregory has responded to the divorce petition. He's refusing to accept responsibility for the financial misconduct and is claiming you were aware of all transactions. He's also demanding spousal support. We need to meet tomorrow to discuss next steps. The brief moment of peace shattered. This wasn't going to be easy. Gregory was going to fight her every step of the way. But as Naomi looked at the logo sketches in front of her, at the messages from clients who believed in her work, she felt her resolve harden. Let him fight. She was ready. The bakery logo came together beautifully. Naomi had spent hours perfecting the lettering, creating something that felt cozy and modern at the same time. When she sent the final files to her client, a woman named Patricia who was opening her first shop, the response came back within minutes. This is perfect. Exactly what I imagined but couldn't put into words. Thank you so much. Naomi saved the message in a folder she labeled wins. She needed to remember these moments, especially on days when Gregory's divorce tactics tried to drag her down. And there had been many of those days over the past month. True to his word, Gregory was fighting the divorce with everything he had. He claimed Naomi had been aware of all his spending. He said she had given verbal permission for the credit card. He even tried to argue that the money he transferred to Simone was a loan he expected to be repaid. All lies, but lies that had to be addressed and disproven, which meant more meetings with Mr. Patterson, more paperwork, more stress. But Naomi refused to let Gregory's tactics consume her. While he played games in court, she built her business. After the bakery logo, she designed a website for a local fitness instructor. Then came social media templates for a real estate agent. Her portfolio was growing and so was her confidence. You should meet Lauren, Rochelle said one evening over dinner. She's a friend from my book club. She runs a marketing consulting business and is always looking for designers to collaborate with. I don't know if I'm ready for that level of work yet. Naomi, you're more than ready. Stop selling yourself short. Rochelle pulled out her phone. I'm texting her right now. She's been talking about needing a designer for weeks. 2 days later, Naomi met Lauren Hayes at a coffee shop downtown. Lauren was a white woman in her late 30s with short blonde hair and an energy that filled the room. She arrived with a leather portfolio and a huge smile. Rochelle showed me your work, Lauren said after they ordered. Your designs are exactly what I've been looking for. Clean, professional, but with personality. That's rare. Thank you. Naomi felt herself blushing. She wasn't used to direct compliments about her work anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. Lauren leaned forward. I've been running my consulting business for 5 years, and I'm at the point where I'm turning down clients because I can't handle all the work alone. What I need is a design partner. Someone who can take the visual side of projects while I handle strategy and client relations. A partner? Like an actual business partner? Exactly like that. Equal split on projects, equal say in decisions, equal ownership of what we build together. Lauren pulled out a folder. I've drawn up a basic proposal. Nothing official yet, just an outline of how I think it could work. Take a look and tell me what you think. Naomi read through the proposal, her heart beating faster with each page. Lauren was proposing they form an LLC together, combining their skills to offer complete branding and marketing packages to small businesses. The financial projections were conservative but promising. They could actually make a real living doing this. This is incredible, Naomi said. But I have to be honest with you. I'm going through a divorce right now. It's messy. I don't know if this is the right time to start something new. Rochelle told me about your situation. Lauren's expression was kind. And I'm going to tell you what my therapist told me when I got divorced 7 years ago. The right time never comes. You just have to decide you're worth the risk and go for it. You're divorced too? Messily divorced. My ex tried to claim he deserved half of my business even though he never contributed a single hour of work to it. Lauren smiled grimly. I fought him for 2 years. It was exhausting and expensive, but I won. And you know what I learned? The best revenge is building something so successful that they regret ever underestimating you. Naomi felt something shift inside her chest. This was exactly what she needed to hear. Not platitudes about time healing all wounds or everything happening for a reason. Just the plain truth from someone who had been there and survived. I'm in, Naomi said. Let's do this. They spent the next 2 hours mapping out details. They would call the business Hayes Bennett Creative. Lauren had office space they could use. They would start by reaching out to Lauren's existing network and building from there. It was exciting and terrifying and felt more right than anything had in years. When Naomi got back to Rochelle's house that evening, she found her sister making dinner. So, how'd it go? I'm starting a business. Naomi couldn't stop smiling. Lauren and I are going to be partners. Rochelle dropped her spoon and hugged Naomi so tight she could barely breathe. I'm so happy for you. This is exactly what you need right now. I know. It feels like everything is finally moving in the right direction. Naomi's phone buzzed. Another email from Mr. Patterson's office. She opened it, her good mood evaporating instantly. Court date set for settlement conference. 3 weeks from today. Gregory's attorney is pushing for spousal support and claiming you should be responsible for half the credit card debt. Bring all documentation we've discussed. 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, she would sit across from Gregory in a conference room and negotiate the end of their marriage. The thought made her feel sick but also strangely calm. She had evidence. She had a good attorney. And she had something Gregory could never take away, a future she was building herself. Bad news? Rochelle asked. Court date. But it's okay. Naomi set down her phone. I'm ready for this. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. Naomi threw herself into work, completing projects for Hayes Bennett Creative and building a client list that exceeded her expectations. She and Lauren worked well together, their skills complementing each other perfectly. Lauren handled the big picture strategy while Naomi brought the visual elements to life. Already they had 5 clients with more inquiries coming in every week. During this time, Naomi also received messages from Gregory. First they were angry. Then they turned pleading. He tried every tactic he could think of: guilt, nostalgia, promises to change, threats about what the divorce would cost her. Naomi ignored them all. She had learned that engaging with him only gave him power. Silence was stronger. Simone tried to contact her too, sending messages from different numbers after Naomi blocked her. The messages ranged from nasty accusations to bizarre attempts at sympathy, claiming she and Naomi should both move on from Gregory. Naomi blocked each number and didn't respond. These people wanted her attention, her reaction, her pain. She refused to give them any of it. The night before the settlement conference, Naomi couldn't sleep. She lay in the guest bed at Rochelle's house, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing what she would say. Mr. Patterson had coached her to stay calm, stick to the facts, and not engage emotionally. But how could she sit across from the man she had loved for 7 years and not feel something? Around 2 in the morning she got up and went to the kitchen. Rochelle was already there making tea. Couldn't sleep either? Rochelle asked. Too many thoughts. Naomi accepted the mug her sister offered. What if I fall apart tomorrow? What if I see Gregory and just lose it? You won't fall apart. You're not the same person who walked out of that restaurant a month ago. Rochelle sat beside her. That Naomi was blindsided and broken. The Naomi sitting here now has built a business, stood up for herself, and survived every dirty trick Gregory threw at her. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. Strong people rarely do. They just keep moving forward anyway. Rochelle squeezed her hand. Tomorrow you're going to walk into that conference room with your head high. You're going to get what you deserve. And then you're going to walk out and never look back. Naomi hoped her sister was right. Because tomorrow, everything would change. One way or another, this chapter of her life would close. And she needed to be ready for whatever came next. The settlement conference room was smaller than Naomi expected. Just a long table, 8 chairs, and fluorescent lights that made everyone look slightly unwell. Mr. Patterson sat on her right, a stack of documents in front of him. Across the table sat Gregory and his attorney, a sharp-looking woman named Miss Chin who had a reputation for aggressive tactics. Gregory looked worse than when Naomi had seen him on Rochelle's porch. He had lost weight, his suit hung loose on his frame and his eyes were red-rimmed. Part of her wanted to feel sorry for him. Most of her didn't care. Let's begin, said the mediator, an older man named Judge Morrison who was overseeing the settlement discussions. We're here to see if we can reach an agreement without going to trial. Mr. Patterson, would you like to present your client's position? Mr. Patterson opened his folder with calm precision. My client is seeking an equitable division of marital assets, compensation for funds misappropriated during the marriage, and sole responsibility for debts that she did not authorize or benefit from. Miss Chin leaned forward. My client contests the characterization of any spending as misappropriation. All financial decisions were made jointly, and Mrs. Bennett was aware of the household finances throughout the marriage. That's not true, Naomi said before she could stop herself. Mr. Patterson touched her arm gently. Let me handle this. He turned back to Miss Chin. We have extensive documentation showing that Mr. Bennett concealed financial information from my client. Bank statements, credit card receipts, and direct transfers to a third party over an 8-month period. Mrs. Bennett discovered these transactions only after finding evidence of her husband's infidelity. The alleged infidelity has no bearing on asset division, Ms. Chin said smoothly. This is a no-fault divorce state. The infidelity is relevant because marital funds were used to support the extramarital relationship, Mr. Patterson countered. Mr. Bennett systematically transferred money to his girlfriend, paid her rent, purchased her gifts, and opened credit cards in both his and my client's names without her knowledge or consent. This isn't a case of marital spending. This is financial misconduct. Judge Morrison held up a hand. Let's look at the evidence. Mr. Patterson, please present your documentation. For the next hour, Mr. Patterson laid out the case piece by piece. The highlighted bank statements showing transfers to Simone. The credit card Gregory had opened without telling Naomi. The receipts for jewelry, dinners, and hotel rooms. Text messages where Gregory discussed hiding his spending from Naomi. Every piece of evidence painted a clear picture of deception. Gregory's face grew redder as the evidence piled up. Finally he exploded. "This is ridiculous. Naomi is trying to take everything from me because she's bitter. She can't accept that our marriage was over." "Mr. Bennett, please refrain from outbursts," Judge Morrison said firmly. "Our marriage was over because you ended it," Naomi said, her voice steady. "You chose to have an affair. You chose to steal from our savings. You chose to humiliate me at our anniversary dinner. I'm just choosing to protect myself now." "Protect yourself?" Gregory laughed bitterly. "You're trying to destroy me financially." "No, Gregory. I'm trying to get back what you took from me. There's a difference." Miss Chin cleared her throat. "Perhaps we should discuss specific numbers. What is your client seeking in terms of settlement, Mr. Patterson?" Mr. Patterson slid a paper across the table. "My client is seeking 50% of Mr. Bennett's retirement fund accumulated during the marriage, which amounts to $21,000. She is also seeking $15,000 in compensatory damages for misappropriated marital funds. Additionally, Mr. Bennett will assume full responsibility for the $12,000 credit card debt he created without her authorization." "That's almost $50,000, Ms. Chin said. "My client doesn't have that kind of liquidity. Then he'll need to make payment arrangements. My client is willing to accept structured payments over time with interest." Gregory slammed his hand on the table. "This is insane. I'm not agreeing to any of this." "Then we'll see you in court," Mr. Patterson said calmly, "where a judge will likely award my client even more, plus attorney's fees." Miss Chin and Gregory huddled together, whispering urgently. Naomi watched them, feeling strangely detached. This was the man she had planned a future with. The man she had trusted completely. Now he was just a stranger on the other side of a table, arguing about money and blame. After several minutes, Miss Chin spoke. "We need time to review the evidence and discuss options with our client. Can we reconvene next week?" "Agreed," Mr. Patterson said. As everyone gathered their papers, Gregory suddenly stood and walked around the table toward Naomi. She tensed, but Mr. Patterson was already between them. "I just want to talk to her," Gregory said. "Alone. Please." "Absolutely not," Mr. Patterson replied. "All communication goes through attorneys." "Naomi, please." Gregory's voice cracked. "This doesn't have to be like this. We can still work it out. I made mistakes, but we can start over. Simone is gone. It's just us now. We can go back to how things were." Naomi stood slowly, meeting his eyes. She saw desperation there and maybe genuine regret. But she also saw the same selfishness that had led him to cheat in the first place. He didn't want her back because he loved her. He wanted her back because his plan had fallen apart. "Gregory, we can never go back. Even if I wanted to, which I don't, the trust is gone. You destroyed it. And I'm not interested in building something new with someone who treated me like I was disposable." She picked up her purse. "Sign the settlement agreement. Move on with your life. Let me move on with mine." She walked out of the conference room without looking back, Mr. Patterson following close behind. In the hallway, she finally let out the breath she had been holding. "You did great in there," Mr. Patterson said. "Very composed." "I don't feel composed. I feel like I might throw up." "That's normal. But you stood your ground and that matters." He checked his watch. "I'll call you as soon as I hear from Miss Chin. Based on Gregory's reaction, I think they'll settle. He knows he'll lose if this goes to trial." That evening, Naomi met Lauren at their shared office space to review their latest project. But she couldn't focus on the branding proposal in front of her. Her mind kept replaying the conference, Gregory's desperate plea, the look on his face when she walked away. "You're somewhere else," Lauren observed. "Want to talk about it?" Naomi explained what had happened, including Gregory's last-minute attempt to reconcile. Lauren listened without interrupting, then poured them both coffee from the pot in the corner. "My ex did the same thing," Lauren said. "At our final hearing he tried to get me to drop everything and take him back. Said he had changed, that he understood what he lost, all of it. You know what I told him?" "What?" "I told him that change is great, but it doesn't erase the past. And I deserved someone who got it right the first time, not someone who only valued me after I was gone." Lauren smiled slightly. "He signed the papers that day. Never contacted me again. Best decision I ever made was walking away and meaning it." Naomi felt tears prick her eyes. Not sad tears but tears of relief. She wasn't alone in this. Other women had survived their marriages ending and built new lives. She could do the same. Her phone rang. Mr. Patterson. She answered immediately. Hello. Good news? Gregory's attorney just called. He's willing to settle. He'll agree to your terms in exchange for you waiving any future claims against his income. Meaning? Meaning you get the retirement fund portion, the compensatory damages, and he takes the credit card debt. But you can't come back later asking for more, even if his financial situation improves. Naomi didn't hesitate. I agree. Draw up the papers. I'll have them ready by the end of the week. Congratulations, Naomi. You're about to be officially divorced. She hung up and looked at Lauren, who was watching her expectantly. He settled. It's over. How do you feel? Naomi considered the question. She felt tired, relieved, sad for what she had lost. But underneath all of that, she felt something else. Something that felt suspiciously like hope. I feel free, Naomi said. For the first time in years, I feel completely free. The courthouse was busy on a Thursday morning. Lawyers in suits, families clustered on benches, the constant echo of footsteps on marble floors. Naomi sat outside the courtroom with Mr. Patterson and Rochelle, wearing a royal blue dress she had bought specifically for this day. She wanted to look strong and put together, even if she felt like she might fall apart. How are you holding up? Rochelle asked. I'm okay. Ready to get this over with. Naomi checked her phone. No messages. Gregory hadn't tried to contact her since the settlement conference 2 weeks ago. According to Mr. Patterson, he had signed all the papers without further argument. Today was just a formality, the judge officially dissolving their marriage and approving the settlement terms. All rise. The Honorable Judge Morrison presiding. They filed into the courtroom. It was smaller than the ones on television, just a few rows of benches and the judge's platform. Gregory was already there with Miss Chen, sitting on the opposite side of the room. He didn't look at Naomi when she entered. Judge Morrison reviewed the settlement agreement, asking questions about assets, debts, and whether both parties understood the terms. Naomi and Gregory each confirmed that they did. The whole process took less than 30 minutes. Based on the evidence presented and the agreement reached by both parties, this court grants the dissolution of marriage between Naomi Bennett and Gregory Bennett. The settlement terms are approved and will be legally binding as of today's date. Judge Morrison signed the papers with a flourish. You're both free to go. Just like that, it was over. 5 years of marriage ended with a signature. Naomi stood feeling strange. She had expected to feel something dramatic, but instead, she just felt tired and ready to leave. Outside the courtroom, Mr. Patterson shook her hand. Congratulations. You handled this with grace and dignity. I'll file the final paperwork today, and you'll receive copies of everything within the week. Thank you for everything. I couldn't have done this without you. You did the hard part. He smiled. Good luck with your business. Something tells me you're going to do very well. Rochelle drove Naomi home in silence. It wasn't until they pulled into the driveway that Rochelle spoke. How do you feel? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. Ask me tomorrow. But the next morning, Naomi woke up and knew exactly how she felt. Lighter. Like she had been carrying something heavy for so long that she had forgotten what it felt like to move freely. The marriage was over. The legal battle was done. Now she could finally focus on building her future without looking over her shoulder. The settlement money came through faster than expected. $21,000 from Gregory's retirement fund, plus $15,000 in compensatory damages. After paying Mr. Patterson's fees and the debts Gregory had left behind, Naomi had almost $20,000 in her bank account. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough to start fresh. She immediately put half into savings and used the rest to invest in her business with Lauren. They upgraded their office space, bought better equipment, and launched a marketing campaign to attract new clients. Hayes Bennett Creative was growing faster than either of them had anticipated. We need to hire help, Lauren said one afternoon as they reviewed their project list. We have more work than we can handle alone. Already? Naomi looked at the calendar filled with client meetings and deadlines. We've only been doing this for 2 months. Exactly. And if we want to keep growing, we need support. Lauren pulled up a job posting she had drafted. I'm thinking we start with a part-time assistant. Someone to handle scheduling, emails, and basic administrative stuff. That frees us up to focus on the creative work. Naomi read the posting and nodded. Let's do it. 3 weeks later, they hired a college student named Tasha who was studying business administration. She was eager, organized, and caught on quickly. With Tasha handling the logistics, Naomi and Lauren were able to take on even more clients. The business was thriving in a way Naomi had never imagined possible. One evening, as Naomi was leaving the office, she ran into someone she hadn't seen in months. Simone. The other woman was standing outside a coffee shop across the street, looking at her phone. She glanced up and their eyes met. For a moment, neither moved. Then Simone started walking toward her, and Naomi felt her stomach drop. But she didn't run. She just stood there waiting. "Naomi," Simone said as she approached. She looked different than Naomi had imagined. Younger, more uncertain. "I know you probably don't want to talk to me." "You're right. I don't." Naomi turned to leave. "Wait, please. I just need to say something." Simone's voice was desperate. "I'm sorry. For everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know that I'm sorry." Naomi turned back. "Why are you telling me this? What do you want from me?" "Nothing. I just..." Simone looked down. "Gregory told me you were boring. That you didn't care about him. That your marriage was already over. I believed him because I wanted to. But I was wrong and I'm sorry I helped hurt you." Naomi studied the woman in front of her. She could feel anger rising, all the pain and humiliation of the past months threatening to overflow. But underneath that she felt something else. Pity. Simone had been lied to just like Naomi had. Gregory had manipulated both of them. "I appreciate the apology," Naomi said carefully. "But it doesn't change anything. What's done is done. Gregory made his choices and so did you. I've moved on and I suggest you do the same. He tried to get back together with me, you know, after you filed for divorce. But I said no. I realized that if he could do that to you, he could do it to me too. Smart decision." Naomi shouldered her bag. "I hope you find someone who treats you better. But I can't be the person who helps you process this. I'm still processing it myself." Simone nodded, tears in her eyes. "I understand. Thank you for listening." Naomi walked away, her heart pounding. She had handled that better than she expected. No yelling, no drama, just honesty and boundaries. It felt good to be the bigger person even when every instinct wanted to lash out. That night, she called Rochelle and told her about the encounter. "I ran into Simone today." "What? Where? What did she say?" Naomi recounted the conversation. "I actually feel sorry for her. She got played too." "Don't feel too sorry. She still chose to sleep with a married man." "True. But holding on to anger isn't helping me. It's just keeping me stuck in the past." Naomi looked out the window of her new apartment, which she had moved into last week. It was small but bright, with big windows and space for a home office. "I'm ready to let it all go. The anger, the hurt, all of it. I want to focus on what's ahead, not what's behind." "That's very mature of you." "Yeah, well, I'm tired of being angry. It's exhausting." Naomi smiled. "Plus, I have too many good things happening to waste energy on Gregory and Simone. The business is doing great, I love my new apartment and I'm actually happy. Really, genuinely happy. I'm proud of you, little sister. You took something terrible and turned it into an opportunity to build the life you always deserved." After they hung up, Naomi sat in her living room, surrounded by moving boxes she still hadn't unpacked, and felt grateful. Grateful for Rochelle's support. Grateful for Mr. Patterson's expertise. Grateful for Lauren's partnership. But most of all, grateful for her own strength. She had survived the worst thing she could imagine, and she had come out the other side stronger and more sure of herself than ever before. The divorce was final. The chapter was closed. Now it was time to write a new story, one where she was the author of her own happiness. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Naomi stood in front of a room full of small business owners, presenting a branding workshop that Hayes Bennett Creative was hosting. Public speaking used to terrify her, but now she felt confident and in control. She had something valuable to share and people wanted to hear it. "Brand identity isn't just a logo," she explained, clicking to the next slide. "It's how your customers feel when they interact with your business. It's the story you tell and the promise you make. Everything from your color choices to your tone of voice contributes to that identity." The audience took notes, asked questions, and several people approached her afterward wanting to schedule consultations. Lauren handled the business cards and appointment bookings while Naomi chatted with attendees. This was their third workshop, and each one had been more successful than the last. "You're a natural at this," Lauren said later as they packed up their materials. "Have you ever thought about doing it full-time? Teaching and speaking, I mean. I love the design work too much to give it up. But maybe we could do both. Workshops could be another revenue stream for the business." Exactly what I was thinking. Lauren grinned. We make a good team. They had officially formed Hayes Bennett Creative as an LLC 3 months ago, and the business had exceeded all their projections. They now had 12 regular clients, 3 part-time employees, and a waitlist for new projects. Naomi had moved out of Rochelle's guest room and into her own 1-bedroom apartment downtown, close to the office. Her savings account was growing steadily. For the first time in her adult life, she felt financially secure and independent. That evening, Naomi met Rochelle for dinner at a new restaurant in their neighborhood. As they waited for their food, Rochelle studied her sister with a smile. You look different. Different how? Happy. Relaxed. Like you finally exhaled after holding your breath for years. That's exactly how it feels. Naomi sipped her water. I didn't realize how much of myself I had given up trying to make Gregory happy. Now I get to just be me and it's incredible. Speaking of which, have you thought about dating again? Naomi groaned. Rochelle, no. It's too soon. It's been 6 months since the divorce was final. Almost a year since you left Gregory. That's not too soon. That's a reasonable amount of time to consider opening yourself up to new possibilities. I'm not interested in a relationship right now. I'm focused on my business and building my life. That's enough. I'm not saying you need to get married tomorrow. Just maybe go on a date. Have coffee with someone. Remember what it's like to have fun with another person. Rochelle leaned forward. There's this guy who works at my office. Terrence. He's nice, smart, has his own business doing consulting work. I mentioned you to him and he said he'd love to meet you sometime. You're trying to set me up? I'm trying to remind you that not all men are like Gregory. Some of them are actually decent human beings who know how to treat women with respect. Naomi considered this. Part of her was curious. She had been alone for a year now, and while she enjoyed her independence, sometimes she felt lonely. But another part of her was scared. What if she made the same mistakes? What if she ignored red flags again? What if she wasted more years on someone who didn't deserve her? I'll think about it, Naomi said finally. No promises. 2 weeks later, Naomi found herself at a coffee shop, waiting for Terrence. She had agreed to meet him after Rochelle wouldn't stop talking about how perfect they were for each other. Naomi was skeptical, but she figured one coffee couldn't hurt. Terrence arrived right on time, and Naomi's first thought was that he looked kind. He had an easy smile, warm brown eyes, and the sort of casual confidence that came from being comfortable in his own skin. He wore jeans and a maroon button-down shirt, and he shook her hand like they were business associates rather than potential dates. Thanks for meeting me, he said as they sat down with their coffees. Rochelle speaks very highly of you. She's my sister. She's biased. Naomi smiled. But thank you. She says good things about you too. They talked for over an hour and Naomi was surprised by how easy it was. Terrence told her about his consulting business helping nonprofits with strategic planning. She told him about Hayes Bennett Creative and how she had built it from nothing after her divorce. He didn't pry into her past and he didn't treat her like she was broken or damaged. He just listened and shared his own stories in return. I was married once too, Terrence said toward the end of their conversation. It ended about 3 years ago. Nothing dramatic, just 2 people who wanted different things and had the maturity to admit it. That sounds much healthier than my situation. Divorce is hard no matter how it happens. But I'm grateful for it now. It taught me what I really want in a partner and what I'm not willing to compromise on. What do you want? Naomi asked, genuinely curious. Honesty. Communication. Someone who has their own life and interests but wants to share parts of it with me. I don't want to complete someone or be completed. I want to be 2 whole people choosing to walk together. Naomi felt something shift in her chest. That's exactly what I want too. They exchanged numbers when they parted ways, and Terrence texted her that evening asking if she'd like to have dinner sometime. Naomi stared at the message for a long time before responding. Yes, she typed. I'd like that. Over the next several weeks, Naomi and Terrence went on a few more dates. Nothing serious, just casual dinners and walks in the park and conversations that stretched late into the evening. Naomi found herself looking forward to seeing him, but she was also careful not to rush. She had learned her lesson about jumping into relationships without really knowing someone first. How's it going with Terrence? Lauren asked one day at the office. Good. Really good actually. But I'm taking it slow. Smart. After everything you've been through, you deserve to be cautious. Lauren paused. But also don't be so cautious that you miss out on something good. Not everyone is Gregory. I know. I'm trying to find the balance between being open and being careful. It's harder than it sounds. Most worthwhile things are. Meanwhile, Hayes Bennett Creative continued to grow. They landed their biggest client yet, a regional chain of fitness centers that needed complete rebranding. The project would take 6 months and pay more than all their other clients combined. Naomi and Lauren celebrated with champagne in the office, toasting to their success and the future they were building together. "A year ago, I was serving divorce papers to my cheating husband," Naomi said, raising her glass. "Now I'm running a successful business, living in my own apartment and actually happy. It's amazing how much can change." "You did that. You made those changes happen." Lauren clinked her glass against Naomi's. "Here's to women who rebuild their lives and come back stronger." That night, Naomi sat in her apartment, looking at the city lights through her window. In the corner of her living room sat the first piece of furniture she had bought for herself, a bright red armchair that Gregory would have hated. She loved that chair. She loved this apartment. She loved the life she had created from the ashes of her marriage. Her phone buzzed. A text from Terrence. "Thinking about you. Hope you had a good day." Naomi smiled and typed back. "Had a great day. Thank you for thinking of me." She wasn't in love with Terrence, at least not yet. But she was open to the possibility. She was open to a lot of possibilities now. For the first time in her life, she felt like the world was full of potential rather than limitations. And that was more than enough. The restaurant was packed on a Saturday evening, filled with couples celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and ordinary moments made special. Naomi sat at a corner table with Rochelle and Lauren, raising her glass in a toast. "To 1 year of Hayes Bennett Creative," Lauren said. "And to the best business partner I could ask for." "To new beginnings," Rochelle added. "And to my baby sister who proved that starting over can be the best decision you ever make." They clinked glasses and drank, the wine sweet on Naomi's tongue. 1 year. It had been exactly 1 year since that devastating anniversary dinner when Gregory told her he wished she wasn't his wife. 365 days of rebuilding, healing, and discovering who she was without him. "Speech," Lauren demanded, grinning. "Oh no. I'm not good at speeches." "Too bad. You're giving one anyway." Naomi laughed and stood, feeling only slightly self-conscious. "Okay, fine. A year ago today my life fell apart. My husband cheated on me, humiliated me in public, and made me question everything about myself. I thought my world was ending." She paused, looking at her sister and her business partner, these two women who had helped her survive the worst year of her life. But it wasn't ending. It was just changing. And yes, the change was painful and hard, and there were days I wasn't sure I'd make it through. But I did. We did. And now I'm standing here with a successful business, amazing people in my life, and a future that actually excites me. "Here's what I've learned," Naomi continued. "Revenge isn't about destroying the person who hurt you. Real revenge is building something so good, so fulfilling, so completely yours that you forget to be angry. It's choosing yourself over and over again until choosing yourself becomes natural. It's realizing that the best way to move forward is to actually move forward, not to stay stuck reliving the past." She raised her glass again. "So thank you both for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for reminding me that I was more than someone's wife, more than someone's victim. Thank you for helping me remember who I was always meant to be." They drank, and Rochelle was crying, and Lauren was clapping, and Naomi felt happier than she could remember feeling in years. As they finished their meal, Naomi excused herself to use the restroom. She was washing her hands when the bathroom door opened behind her. She glanced in the mirror and froze. Gregory stood in the doorway looking startled. "Naomi, I didn't know you'd be here." "This is the women's restroom, Gregory." "Right. Sorry. I just saw you walking this way and..." He stepped back into the hallway. "Can we talk? Just for a minute?" Naomi dried her hands slowly, considering. She could say no. She could walk past him and return to her table and never think about him again. But part of her was curious. What could he possibly have to say after all this time? "1 minute," she said, stepping into the hallway. Gregory looked different. Older somehow, more worn down. He had lost more weight, and his suit looked expensive but didn't fit quite right. "You look good," he said. "Happy. I'm happy. What do you want, Gregory?" "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I need you to know that I was wrong. About everything. You weren't boring. Our marriage wasn't suffocating. I was just scared of commitment and too much of a coward to be honest about it." Naomi crossed her arms. Okay. Okay? That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? That I understand? I don't, Gregory. I probably never will. What you did was cruel and selfish, and it hurt me in ways I'm still dealing with. But I'm also grateful. Grateful? He looked shocked. Yes. Because you forced me to rebuild my life, and in doing that, I discovered I'm stronger and more capable than I ever knew. I have a business I love. Friends who support me. A future that's mine. So thank you for showing me who you really were before I wasted any more years on you. Gregory's face crumpled. I made a huge mistake. Simone is gone. My job is stressful. I'm alone. I keep thinking about what we had and what I threw away. What we had was a marriage built on lies and unequal sacrifices. You just didn't realize it because the lies benefited you and I was the one making sacrifices. Naomi checked her watch. Your minute is up. I need to get back to my dinner. Wait, is there any chance we could try again? Start over? I've changed, Naomi. I've been in therapy. I understand what I did wrong. No, Gregory. There's no chance. Not now, not ever. Naomi met his eyes directly. I don't want you back. I don't even think about you anymore except as a lesson learned. You're part of my past and you're going to stay there. She walked away, back toward the table where Rochelle and Lauren were laughing about something. Behind her, she heard Gregory call her name one more time, but she didn't turn around. She just kept walking, her head high, her heart light. Everything okay? Rochelle asked when she returned. Everything's perfect. Naomi sat down and smiled. I just ran into Gregory. What? Where? In the hallway. He wanted to talk, so I let him. He apologized and asked if we could try again. Lauren leaned forward. What did you say? I said no. Very firmly, very clearly no. Naomi felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she said it. And you know what? Felt amazing. A year ago I would have been tempted. I would have wondered if maybe he really had changed. But now, I know exactly what I deserve, and it's not a man who only wants me back after everything else falls apart. That's my sister, Rochelle said proudly. They finished dinner and walked out into the cool evening air. As they stood on the sidewalk saying goodbye, Naomi saw Terence walking toward them. They had plans to meet for coffee after her dinner, and seeing him made her smile. Ladies, Terence said, greeting them all with an easy warmth. How was dinner? Perfect, Naomi said, linking her arm through his. Just perfect. They said goodbye to Rochelle and Lauren and walked toward the coffee shop, talking about their weeks and making plans for the weekend. Terence wasn't a replacement for Gregory. He was something entirely different. Something new and healthy and built on mutual respect. They were taking things slow, learning each other gradually, building trust brick by brick. You seem extra happy tonight, Terence observed. I am. I ran into my ex-husband at the restaurant. Oh, how did that go? Better than I expected. He wanted to get back together and I was able to say no without even hesitating. It felt really good to realize I've completely moved on. Terence squeezed her hand. Good for you. That takes strength. They reached the coffee shop and found a quiet corner to sit in. As Terence went to order their drinks, Naomi pulled out her phone and saw a message from Lauren. Just got a call from that huge tech company we pitched to last month. They want to hire us. This is going to change everything. Naomi stared at the message, her heart racing. Hayes Bennett Creative was about to get even bigger. More opportunities, more challenges, more growth. A year ago, she had been begging Gregory to notice her, to appreciate her, to choose her. Now she was building an empire with her own two hands, and the only person she needed to choose her was herself. Terence returned with their coffees and slid into the seat across from her. You're glowing. Good news. Very good news. My business just landed a major client. This is going to be huge for us. That's amazing. Congratulations. He raised his cup in a toast. To your success and to the future. To the future, Naomi echoed, meaning it with every fiber of her being. Outside, the city lights sparkled against the dark sky. Inside, Naomi Bennett sat with a good man and a bright future, finally free from the past that had tried to define her. She had gotten her revenge, not through destruction but through creation. Not through making Gregory suffer but through making herself flourish. And as she sipped her coffee and laughed at something Terence said, she realized the truth. The best revenge had been proving Gregory wrong. She wasn't boring. She wasn't suffocating. She was capable and strong and worthy of love and success. She was exactly who she always had been, just finally free enough to show it. 1 year after the worst night of her life, Naomi Bennett had become the author of her own story. And it was a story worth reading.